Hello, everybody. How you doing? This is Barke Faraj Kamus, and I want to say thank you to Michelle for actually giving me this time to come and actually share my story, and also to share this knowledge experience. What if we're gonna call it? But it's something that it needed to be shared. And I would love to actually tell you a little bit how I met Michelle. And so for me, my journey of self-development started at since 2015. And 2015, 2000 and I'm not sure if it's 2016 or 2015. I'm terrible at time. But so 2015, I think, or 16, one of the two. I started because when I was awakening and joined a network marketing, and within that joining of network marketing, I actually, hello Melanie, how you doing? Melanie, thank you for joining. And so for me, I was told by my upline that go to seminars, get yourself around people, talk about your product, talk about yourself. And people love to hear that. And I was like, well, yes, I would love that. So what happened was that it's sorry about that. So what happened is that my first seminar was the Excel London, and in Excel I actually I became aware of my purpose, because that day they were like, what, 10,000, I don't know, more than that, people. And they were all waiting for Tony Robbins. They were all talking about it. I'm like, who is this Tony Robbins? Who is this person? Everyone's so excited. And I was the first one to come in, and I was just like, I want to know what is it about, and I want to get everything that I can get on the day. But then the first day I went, I sat in the front and waiting impatiently, as you can be, and I just want to hear what's happened. And then with that, I actually, every speaker who comes along is a male speaker. Every person that is just, where's the women? I asked myself, where are the women? And I stood up and I looked from everyone else like a bad view eye, just looking. And I saw like, oh my God, this is how a speaker, or how in an authority, when you stand up and everyone else is sitting down waiting to hear you speak. I actually was inspired, and that's when I knew that I'm a speaker, and I'm like, where are the women speakers? I want them. I want to join them. Anyway, on that day, before I met after Tony Robbins, who introduced Tony Robbins at that day was Jerry Roberts. I don't know if you've heard of him. He owns the Blackbird. And within Jerry Roberts, I actually took it because I wanted to write a book, and I'm so excited in writing a book. So what happened was that I was like, the way he speaks and the way he tells you, like, how many people here have been dreaming of writing a book? How many people here have been thinking of, when you think of writing, you're thinking like a big book, Yes, Michelle, you remember that one. Yes, used to train for him. And so for me, he intrigued me, and I was just mesmerized by him. And so one of the person that I actually knew at the time, I didn't know at this time, at that time I didn't know that she was actually, will be going the same direction as me. So we already agreed, and we said we're gonna do it together. So we went to the training, okay? And that training actually, that's when I met Michelle. She was just into starting with her book. She was promoting it, and she was telling her story, and I was just like, wow, this is a powerful woman. And I just like, oh my God, her story was intriguing, and I was just like, I was just like, oh my goodness, I love that. The way she was just open about her past and about her experience and everything. And I was like, that's what I want to do. This is why I want to do this. And seeing her there, and guess what? So Maggie, okay, Maggie, they doing it together. They started doing together, and I was following Maggie at this time. Yes, it has been a long journey. It has been. And so Maggie was the one contact Michelle, do this. And I was just like, not now, not now, maybe later. So anyway, the journey, okay, the way it took me, that from 2000, I don't know, 15 or 16 at the time, I'm not sure, Michelle. So for me, it took me from that time until 2019. 2019, I actually told myself, enough of excuses. I said to myself, Barke, we have to finish this book. We've been writing it for years. Okay, enough. Let's finish it. Let's publish it. Now, because it was my first book, okay, and it felt like, oh, it's my baby, I just like, it's my baby. Oh my goodness, I was so scared, like a first time mother, yeah, and you're thinking, oh my God, how do I put the nappy on? So I was the same. Hey, MJ. And I was the same. So I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to ruin it. I want to keep it alive as much as I can. And I want to make sure that it's published. And I want it the way I wanted, the vision that I had it. So what happened was that I went to a publisher. And within that publisher, I had a bad experience. I was in tears, guys. They were like, no, we want you to change the whole story. We want you to do this. We want you to do. And I was just like, excuse me? No, I'm not changing my story. This is my story. This is my experience. Nobody can take away anything. This is exactly the way I wanted to do it. But then it was like kind of the doors were being closing for me at that time. And I was just like, oh my God, who can help me? Who can turn what I'm going through right now? So what happened was that because I've already in contact with Michelle and I've already started to, I was kind of like my eye were opening. I can see what she's doing. I kind of know, oh my goodness, I was like, and they were just like, you know what? I've seen a post that she did about authors and about this. And I was like, I'm intrigued. Let me go to her. Let me see what she's doing. And because of our past, where we connected and how we knew each other and everything, it just kind of made it easier in a way that I was just like, okay, a friendly smile, but also another woman for me. Anyway, it was another woman that would understand me. Another woman that would challenge me. I needed that. So for me, I went and knocked her door, like banging her door. And I was just like, help me. Help me, please. Because I wasn't feeling like I'm ready to publish it by myself. I needed someone to help me doing this. And she was like, yes, Barke, tell me. How long do you want to publish? How far? When? Now? And I was like, yes, please, now. I've already done everything else. I just want you to help me publishing it. And she's like, yes, let's make it happen. And the funny thing is, guys, okay, when I was writing my book, I had a different title. But that title, it didn't suit me. So what happened was that because of the way we speak with Michelle, and I was just like, and she was like, well, tell me a bit more about this title. I want to know more. And for me, she kind of dig me into it. And I was just like, you know what? I always, my intention, my kind of vision of my book is called What Is Your Name? She's like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with it? I was like, nothing wrong with it. I just didn't trust myself because of what I went through when everything was questioned and everything wasn't going my way, they even told me, maybe, the name is not going to work. So for me, I was just like, okay, whatever works, I'm going to make it work. But then it's not actually working. So for me, when she actually made that safe, place for me to understand, what is your book about? What exactly do you want? So it kind of brought back my vision. It kind of gave me that power to own it again. And to be honest with you, why do I call it What is Your Name? Why do I call it that? Why was it so important? Now, for me, okay, a Muslim woman who had experience from the culture, the religion, the education, status, and environment, all these things that they said your name won't work. Thank you. Yes, they did. So what was happened was that I felt, as you can see, the chains of this, we could say a young lady, but it's a girl. The chains were actually about those culture, the things that hold us down, the culture, the environment, the religion, the traditions, and all these things. Those were my chains. Those are the things that hold me down. So what happened was that, because Michelle, the way she kind of open up my vision and say, Barky, what do you want? And for me, I'm like, I need to break free. You know the music, yeah? Break free, yeah? That I needed to break free. I needed to break away from this chain. I needed to come out as me. And that's why it's called, What is Your Name? Who are you? And that's what it is. Because I've got, for me, my whole life, I grew up, seeing and feeling and being told, you are not here to actually just, being as an individual. You have to accommodate everyone else's happiness. So for me, actually breaking this and actually asking myself thousands and thousands of questions over and again, this question, I kept asking myself, what is your name? And if any one of you knows me, okay, when I was doing the speaking in Fearless Speaking Academy, I would always shout, what is your name? Who are you? Because that element in myself that I was just like, this needs to come out. Hello, Josephine. Thank you for joining us. So it needs to come out. So what happened was that, now I would like to read something in my book, okay? But before I read anything about my chapter, I would love to read these quotes. Why did I put quotes in my book? Because, to be honest with you, every person in this world, they need to be motivated. Every person in this world, they needed to be inspired. So for me, writing quotes or even reading quotes, it made me feel like there's someone else going through this and they went through this. That means they overcame it. And so I'm going to start with this one. Let's see. Never be bullied into silence. Never allow yourself to be a victim. Accept no one's definition of your life, but define yourself. Harvey Feinstein. And also, I cannot help myself, I'm going to read the second one. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. This Buddha wrote this, but this actually, it made so much difference in my life. Now, if you're the kind of person who like to be inspired, it's really nice to just let and the words what they're saying. I'm gonna start reading my chapters, and the first chapter I would love to read is What is Your Name? It's not the first chapter. It's not me reading the chapter. So, what is your name? And at the beginning, I always write a quote. So this quote from this chapter is, if you don't love yourself, nobody will. Not only that, you won't be good at loving anyone else. Loving starts with the self. I love that. Dr. Dwayne there, my favorite. Okay. Your name has a meaning. It has power. It makes you unique in who you are as a person. Imagine the amazing journey from day one, when that special sperm won the race to get to that egg, which started forming from a drop of blood to a fully grown body with all your organs and limbs. From that day, your space has been claimed. And all you have to do now is to own who you are and walk proud. So think about your name and ask yourself these questions. What is your name? When someone is calling you, how does it feel? How are you given that name? What does your name mean to you? And what is the meaning of your name? Who gave you your name? Are you proud of your name? So those are just questions. All of everything that I've wrote in this book is exactly how I asked myself, is exactly what I went through. This is my biography, but end of the day, it's something that it really happened for me in my own eyes. Now, the way I answered, my name is Barke. My father gave me this name because his aunt's name was Barke. She was a special lady with a beautiful heart. She had passed away, so he gave me her name to keep the beautiful memories of her life. My name means blessing. When I was in secondary school, I had an Arabic teacher who used to call my name with such delicacy that I had to ask him, why are you calling me Barki? And he said, in Arabic, there is no letter E. And your name, it means blessing. So you have to call it with care and love. As I was a teenager at the time, I just brushed it off. But I had never forgotten what he told me. I looked at myself and realized what he told me. From that moment, I looked at myself and realized that I was a unique woman with an amazing name. The blessing I get every day, from that I share with anyone I come across and love and care. My name has power, strength, with great love, and is full of blessing. When someone calls my name, I answer with such pride and value. It's like I fall in love with my own name all over again. I work hard to ensure that people never forget my name because of the experience I leave them with and the way I leave them feeling. My name is my brand. My business is my passion. I am whole as I am, and the only changes I make is purely for my own growth. That is just one bit about what is your name. It didn't come just like that. It came with time, with experience that I actually received on my journey. And it's actually something that I needed to have. Because end of the day, life without hardship, life without pain, we're never gonna learn anything about life. I'm going to read another section, another chapter. And thank you, MJ. Thank you. As always, I'm going to start with a quote. This chapter is called, What Does Your Reflection Say About You? It is all about falling in love with yourself and sharing that sharing that love with someone who appreciates you, rather than looking for love to compensate for a self deficit. Arthur Kitt. I love that quote because, oh my goodness, I'm gonna tell you on the chapter. So, I found myself staring in a mirror. I forgot why I was in the toilet, and for the first time in a long time, it was like time has stopped. For me, in my head, I remember seeing someone as 16 years old when I got married with a size 8 dress on. Then time moved forward and I could see myself in the present moment. What a surprise. I got at the I got at the way I look. Okay, the surprise that I got, the way I look. I looked at myself from head to toe, yes, with tears coming out of my eyes. My body, my image, my thoughts, my personality were now so different. And I examined my sad, drawn face. The veil had come away, and I could see myself for who I was. That night, after 14 years of marriage, I held the intense realization of the darkness that surrounded me and everything else that came with it. As I looked at myself with horror, I could see in me that everything I was doing is to please all the people who crossed my path. And this was in spite of the existence of all my responsibility, such as my children, my husband, my in-laws. Overwhelmed by my culture, my religion, my lifestyle, I now asked as I looked, where am I? The I that made me an individual, that I that made me special, that I that knew I was at 16. Where was I? My arranged marriage at 16 years old had given me a little time to breathe of air of adulthood. I ripened into maturity, seemingly ready only for childbirth. I immediately got pregnant within weeks of being married. After giving birth, God once again bestowed upon me the warm air of fertilization, and 4 months later, I got pregnant. This time giving me a son. After that, I had always to look for ways to save money. My natural state meant I would be a little savvy with money. Spend a little, save a little. I did not expect to work for my entire life. I always kept an eye on the future, so I would look for ways to invest, believing it was better to find a way to make money work for me. The problem was, I just didn't know how. There was a chance for us to buy a house. At this time, there was a key worker scheme. My husband was working as a police personnel, and so he was eligible to get on the scheme. I was so happy that he listened to me. This was my goal. So he applied for it. And when the letter came through, he showed me. All I could see was the amount, £50,000. At that time, it was a lot of money. We started looking for our dream homes, our dream house. And as I did not know England very well, I had no objection to where I'm going to live. It was such a good investment, not simple for us, but for the future of our children. This is why I wanted us to own our own home. House hunting was taking too long, and I asked my brother-in-law for help and join us in our search for the ideal property. With the extra pair of hands on board, I was finally able to dream big, to dream. Sorry, I have to go back. So I was finally able to see my dreams reality. My dreams began to turn to reality. Eventually, we found this beautiful home. Spacious kitchen. I fell in love with the brick archway, which led into dining room. When we visited the house for the final time, we planned to come back the next day and put an offer. That day, on our way back, I asked him where the letter was with the check that the government gave us for a deposit. My husband handed it to me. When I looked at it, I was shocked into silence. There was an expiry date at the bottom of the letter, with an absolute intense sickening in my stomach. I saw that the expiry date had passed by 1 week already. I then had an enormous and sad task of transmitting this information to him. I opened my mouth and slowly explained the news, barely able to comprehend the full extent of my lost dream. The words that he returned with after such a shock was like having a bucket of ice cold water poured over my head, and I felt my exposed heart split into tiny pieces. This was the moment I knew this man, whoever he was not my husband. He had never really loved me or cared for me. Yes. I remember looking back to see my child lying asleep peacefully in the back seat of the car. On our way home, I frantically kept asking myself, where would I go? What would I do? No, don't cry. I was helpless, as I did not have a job or family to help me. And that moment is when I started working on my plans, my dreams of a life without him. The cruel joke played repeatedly in my mind, relentlessly. However, it was not a joke. How can you think I wanted to buy a home with you? You have nothing to give, no job, no education. You have nothing that I want. The worst part was that he had known all along. Life, eh? You wanna take a break? But water? I know, it's not something to laugh about, but after it happens, you just think, it's something you learn, yeah? Now, I'm gonna continue something, okay? My husband was a surprisingly quiet man. When he was with people, he would like to show that he was a family. Thank you, Malini. He wanted He would like to show that he was a family man, both kind and loving. He would give the best hospitality and was a wonderful host. Oh, beautiful host. He would feed someone and take them home. He would look after the children, and nobody would know how he was when he was with me alone. I loved it when there were people around us, as I would cook and we would have these parties at the house often. It was nice to make other people happy, and it made him feel needed. And I would get some peace, as we would not fight at these times. We would only fight if it were about my sister, as she would call too much or turn up at any time, at times without planning. In our family, yeah? Enough was enough. It had been years of living like this, thinking of myself as not good enough for anything and putting myself down. All this kept coming into my head so much that I could not maintain this way of life any longer. The pit of my stomach was on fire, the fire that had been started when he shattered my heart. This fire ready now to tackle the unknown. The fear that was always holding me down was nowhere to be found. This time was the time that I could become my own hero. The tears were streaming, pouring down of me, and it was the tears of symbolized a new this word, yeah, exultant. I hope I'm saying it correct. Transformation time for me. Okay, I used to have this habit, yeah? So I went to the kitchen and started planning. I began to write about my strengths and my weaknesses. And if you're going to read this book, I listed them down, yeah? How you doing, guys? Are you okay? Are you with me? It's just a beginning. I'm going to start with a quote again. The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depth. These persons have an understanding of life fills with them, of life that fills with them compassion, concern. Beautiful people do not just happen. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. So, I wanted to be a police community support officer because it would enable me to be the first person to be there when someone really needed help. I saw the job as an investment in myself, doing what I loved and having the opportunity to grow within a company. Secretly, I also thought that it would bring my husband closer to me and that he might understand me more with him working with the police also. Instead of his blessing, he decided to point out all the worst things that could happen if I became a police officer, or if I became the police officer. He categorically saying that he did not want me to do it, telling me I needed his approval, and without it, there would be no blessing in this job. This approval he ardently trained despite he tried to persuade I tried to persuade him. I explained to him that I had to do it for us in order for us to have a chance for a better lifestyle. I tried to go through the application process 4 times. However, every time I failed the rigorous tests, I would get up and start the process again. By the time it came to a fifth time round, I completed everything necessary, all the way to the fitness section. In the middle of running around the last lap, I literally stopped dead on my tracks. It hit me like a thunderbolt. All I was doing was trying to prove to my husband that I can do it. All the passion that I had at the beginning was all gone. Whittled away whittled away little by little by his negative voice playing in my head. All that remained was, hey guys, I'm back. His ego playing me. At that point, there was only one thing left for me to do. After such a realization, I had to stop, walk away with a smile on my face. How you doing, guys? How you doing? Are you with me, guys? I'm gonna read this quote. Living in a way that reflects one's value is not just about what you do. It is also about how you do things. Thank you, Michelle. Deborah Day. It was 2012. Thank you. I began working 12 hours to 16 hours a day. In reality, I was running away from home. Though I couldn't physically do so, I was scared of living by myself, and most of all, I was scared of breaking my marriage vows because of how much God hated such things. Things were not right. I tried to change them. Really, I did. It was so beyond my control, yet the desperation did not push me to anger God. I could not stand before him and say that I was ungrateful and that I had had enough. So I simply stayed out as much as possible. My family, where were they? They were not with me. I tried, really, I did. The dishonor, the shame, especially my father's brothers, who threatened to disown me, and that really scared me. Clearly, were we were I to divorce, it would leave me completely without the family blessings. Such fear, such anguish, whichever way I twisted or turned, there was turmoil in 2012. Divorce was not an option. In December 2014, there was a significant shift. This time, my decision came from a deep inner place where that was peaceful, a serene, gentle, and calm place. A complete contrast to the anxiety and yearning of the years gone past. There was no more what ifs, buts, or maybes. No more perhaps things will change. No more of if it's somehow my fault. No more pain. No more worry. Just a distant sadness and calm. Complete calm. In retrospect, I am sure the actual distance of time out of the house had already given me space to heal. The wounds no longer gaining an opportunity to completely be bombarded with fresh ones before the old ones had a chance to heal. No longer was there an opportunity for me not having the chance to breathe. And in my breaths, slow, methodical, over those after over those 2 years, whilst breathing in and out, fast in panic, but slowly after the respite of hours, in and out, reflecting and growing, I realized I had made peace with my family inside myself. Truly, I understood that it was fine if my family did not stand with me. In this matter, they were their own people with their own opinions, thoughts, and feelings, and I had mine. In addition, mine were just as important and valuable. My breathing in and out showed the clear understanding that in the whole scheme of things, they did not support me financially, emotionally, or physically any longer. The blood ties were important and they were still strong. They were still very strong, but that I had somehow, in my now relaxed and deliberate breathing, had been able to let go. I realized everything that was not giving me or serving me my new purpose in my life, which was my happiness. At last, I realized that my first duty was to my Lord, my Creator. Then, after that, my responsibility was to take care of me. God created me, excuse me, and I indeed was more important than that happiness of others. I had a duty of care to myself. Now I was ready to take on it. Okay. I had been sleeping on my children's bedroom floor for over 6 months. I had to make changes so my soon ex to be husband would know the seriousness of the matter taking place. Unfortunately, every time I would smile or talk and laugh, he would confuse himself into thinking that I had changed my mind and that it was an indication that I wanted to go back to him. Most nights at this time, he would come home drunk and come to the children's bedroom where I was sleeping. He would normal, sorry, his normal blub of verbal abuse would spill as if saliva from his mouth salivating on any hint of concern from me. My only worry, as always, was the children, hearing and or seeing him in that state. He would pass by and sit on one of the children's bed. I was scared that he would drop on top of them whilst they were sleeping. All the while, he would spilling his violence from his mouth. I would record him secretly on my phone, on my mobile, just in case I had to use it in court or let him listen to himself to show him what he was doing to his own family and himself. Family, what is it really? My struggle. was now externally pushing me to really be the hero of my story. Each hero shines as they overcome each challenge. The challenges, the battles won internally were now being forced to the surface. As the reshuffle of my life began, all management books will tell you that change always brings a certain amount of chaos and conflict, where individuals often refuse to stop the status quo, but I had made promises. So many promises to be self-sufficient, to self-reliant, and to love and care for myself. It was time to fulfill all my promises, come what may. How are we doing, guys? Are we still going? Okay, Michelle, you have to give me kind of like a sign, okay? Time is up. Okay. We are each gifted in a unique and important way. It is our privilege and our adventure to discover our own special light. Mary Dunbar. 2 whole years before this, I had told my husband that I wanted a divorce as I was unhappy with our marriage. I was scared that I was trembling. He called my family and he called them all. There was so much talk. He called my father's brothers and he told them that I had changed, somehow trying to shift the responsibility of the problem in our marriage away from him. He told them that they needed to talk to me, and so I was summoned as if before a court. The jury, already biased by his pre-trial words, he had prepared them well. So well, in fact, that when I was able to tell them my side of how unhappy I was, they viewed me like a spoiled and whining child. What was your problem? Disgrace did not come from their family, from their family. But why did my thoughts revisit this again? Because the struggle of the happiness of women in marriage goes beyond just me, beyond the walls of my house and the screaming and belittling, beyond to the extension of the villages and the tribes where culture blends effervescently, I hope I said that right, with religion, telling us all women stay, whatever, be happy, whatever takes, whatever. When I was forced to talk to my uncle explaining that I was not happy, the answer was to me, or the answer was to me, the answer to me was, there's no such thing as happiness in this world. And I have to go back to my husband and apologize to him, as it is better to have someone rather than not have anyone. I was definitely ready to push myself, as I strongly believed my happiness would cost me something. I knew it would be hard for me and that it was going to be difficult thing to forgive myself for. But at time, I just blundered forward into the realm of the darkness that I was expecting, doomed and destined to doom. I did not mind that much that I was to be hurt and damaged in the process, as I saw myself of worthy of such fate. My fate, in my understanding, had long since been decided due to my lack of education and having no money, with little experience of anything of value in life. But my children's future, well, that was the most paramount seal of my affection. They needed to be nurtured, blanketed, cocooned, and sheltered from the harsh pains that I was about to experience. I therefore decided in my head that they needed to stay with their father. He would, of course, if I was not there to disturb him, turn his life around. He would not drink and would be a better equipped to protect and look after them. He had a good solid source of income, and whilst my family were about to disown me, he would offer his family would offer him their full support. And so, certain of the outcome, I banished myself to the painful experience of my own tormentor. I packed my bags and prepared myself, ready to leave my home and submit my children to his care. Then he asked me to sign away my children. He wanted what appeared to be a free rein, to dismiss my very existence, blot it out as though I were a mirage that would float away from his mind and out of the hearts of my children. He asked me to sign that I require not one penny from him. Not then, not ever. I had expected that. But he wanted me to sign away my life by signing away my children completely. Award him full custody and give up my rights. Who was I? Was I not the one who gave birth? Who stayed up all those lonely nights while he slept in a nocturnal wakefulness, watching the sickness of my children as they came in one by one? Was I not the one who sheltered their sadness and wiped their tears through those precious early years? Was I not the one who cried with them for their own sadness as they grew in their journey, melted as they smiled? Or watched in a way as they took their first steps? Surely their mother would not turn their mother could not turn my back and just walk away. My answer was no, no, no. On observation, the bubbles in my head surrounding my delusion that my husband would be the best primary care giver started to pop one by one. I started seeing my soon ex-husband bringing alcohol home, getting drunk. Early in our marriage, we had forged an agreement. When I found out that he would drink alcohol in his rugby club or with his friend, as I could not stop him or change him, we agreed he would never bring alcohol home because of the children. He had broke that agreement and began not looking after or feeding the children until I come back home, which was well into the late evening. I had been thinking that this man was more mature in age, more experienced, more stable, more responsible, but the bubbles kept popping. Pop, 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 pop. Not reliable, not responsible, not caring. The bubbles were so light that I wondered how I managed to blow them and sustain them in my head. They were little more than a 20-pence children's tube of bubble. Pop, pop, pop. How you doing, guys? To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson. 14th of February 2017. Finally, my ex-husband left the family home. Because he could not keep up with paying for everything by himself, and because I finally got the strength to not feel pressured to help with the finances. I finally got the strength to, I had to quit my job. Thank you. I had to quit my job 6 months before. I became disenchanted and I'd lost my passion for catering industry. I had resolved to become a manager in catering, and when I achieved it, I walked away. Thank you so much. When my husband finally left, I was living in a surreal world for a week or so. This fluid state left me thinking I was just dreaming or hallucinating. The whole thing, from the very beginning of my final divorce request, he was adamant that he would not leave. He insisted that the only way forward was for me to go. It was his house. I should live. And it did not matter whether I took the children or not. I was the one who needed to get out, not him. After so much stress and pain, probably for both of us, I was the one being catapulted constantly into turmoil, emotional baggage. It's hard to shift. My thoughts cascade like a pack of cards, one after the other. He didn't care if I took the children with me. How could a father be so cruel? Not loving me or not wanting me was one thing, but not his children? I said I would not leave either, so I went to the housing association to ask them if they could help me. However, they said they could not get involved and to make a decision, as it was up to each couple to decide who would go and who should stay. In addition, the area I was living in meant that it would take time for us to get rehoused. There appeared to be a lot of people on the waiting list. I was told women in my situation generally go to women's refuge. This, however, was not an option open to me, as boys or men were not allowed. My son was no longer small, so I had no option but to stay and enjoy his presence. So here I was in the midst of the haze of having my ex-husband finally leave. 2 years of uncertainty. My divorce had been proclaimed by the English court system back at the end of 2015, but my unbeknown ex-husband had decided I should be left in the dark about such matters and kept all correspondence hidden. It was only after one whole year of bewilderment did I call to check what was happening. Before I got actually joy, the moment and the peace of solitude and victory for my patients, I started getting mail about missed payments from the housing people. They were now threatening to take me to court. I was scared to even breathe. Everything was on my shoulders, and I had no one to ask for help. I am that kind of person who likes to look at situation and go head first into something, and when things did not work, I would reassess the situation and go again. So going through financial difficulties, I couldn't sleep. When I passed out, I would wake up late at night crying so my children would not see me. And I would pray to God to help me find the solution to all my problems. I I believed that I could not ask for loan because my credit score was really bad. I looked for something else. What else is there for me to sell to raise cash? I found my jewelry sitting there doing nothing for me. I did not wear them very often. They were replaceable. So I thought, why not? And so I took my jewelry to the pawnbroker. It was the jewelry my uncle had brought me for my wedding day. He had bought me both silver and gold jewelry. My grandmother had taken the silver item, so I was left with the gold one. Also, my ex-husband had bought me a white gold ring. The funny thing was that when I got that value, I was told that it only worth £12. I laughed that day and paid off my arrears, and I was happy for that fleeting moment. But then the bank contacted me and I had not paid for my credit card. I had gone over my overdraft limit. Things were not good. By this time, I had exhausted all physical action I could take to change my circumstances. I gave up the fight to control and said to myself, what will be, will be. Trusting God to set it through and guide me through all this chaos that I was experiencing. And that was the point where I surrendered to God fully. The resignation was not a desperate one, but one of wonder. How will things actually turn out? I trusted my Lord, and in submission, I relaxed and watched and waited. We're honest in our home and we still had to plan our finances and ensure that there was food on the table. And that meant going to market to buy in bulk, everything from fish to chicken, vegetables, and leave a little money left over for treat every month with my children. Sorry guys, I'm here, I'm here. I'm just it's kind of a memory, flashbacks. It's just like, wow, a lot has happened. I'm going to read you this quote. Power within from the source. Love yourself enough to set boundaries. Your time and energy are precious. You get to choose how to treat you by deciding what you will and won't accept. Siri Ravi Shankar. Looking back at my life from day one, from the time I was born, not living with my parents, living as an only child in my grandparents' house. I really experienced a huge contrast between Kenya and Zanzibar. In Kenya, women can be leaders, workers, and business ladies. They they can be both successful and ambitious without having any social stigma. From the age of 12 and a half, I went to live in Zanzibar and saw the difference in the way people think. The experience I got in Zanzibar was the same from my family, especially my grandmother. She did not believe in women having an education. Women should get married and their lives would then belong to their husbands. His family would not his to the husband and his family, and nothing would come back to the women's family. I kept hearing this all the time as a teenager growing up in Zanzibar, seeing women who were often treated like possession, and for the sake of not being shamed by society, women would stay away from divorce. What happened as a consequence was that women were left in turmoil, with some women suppressing their feelings as a survival tactic. I felt that I was living in a place where most of the people were somehow brainwashed to the point of insanity. Had I not had my experience in Kenya to hold as a barometer, I too would have held these views as normal. Nonetheless, I thought I was the weird one. Now, as an adult looking back, I understand my experiences and have enough of a much wider barometer through traveling and age to know that, in fact, despite my young age, I was the sane one there. In Zanzibar, there was no one who was on my side. I had no friends. I had no one who could understand things from my perspective. So I turned to the closest companion, God. Being alone and different does that to a person. It allows you to it allows you to search beyond and above for solution. When the answer cannot be found, the only thing left to do is pray. God became the rescuer to my troubled needs. Even though sometimes I don't see the answer to my prayer straight away. Sometimes it will take days, sometimes it's months, or on a rare occasion, years. Thank you, Josephine. Thank you for the love. But at the end, I will know, just as writing this book, it was part of my prayer that although he gave me a husband who did not love me, he gave me motherhood, empowering leadership skills, and the desire, empathy, and the ability to help others. My faith was questioned by my husband when he observed as a bystander in relationship with my creator. The defense mechanism would set in. Perhaps he did not realize that he was doing it, but words can often be hard to shift. He would ask me why I prayed, what I had done to seek the forgiveness of my Lord. Little by little, day by day, this continuous jealousy of lack of control over a part of me which he could not reach meant that I slowly retracted into myself, become to hide my prayers, not wanting the words of my husband to taint or spoil the action. I did not want to continually justifying my action. Did he not know that everything we do, we need to seek forgiveness within? We're not created perfect human beings. Each have our own weaknesses and insecurities. But how could I explain this to him when he was crying out, not to justify my prayer, but to own and control every part of me as he was taught by his upbringing to do so? Humans are not perfect. A person is born as an individual and has their own way of thinking, doing things as you have been seeing, hearing, and feeling how I was feeling at each moment in time, at various points in my journey. You have been witnessing the steps that I took to overcome my challenges and difficulties and the lessons I learned from the people who closely surrounded me, the lessons given to me from those who are less entwined, each experience offering me the opportunity to expand, to grow, and to become me. Thank you, Josephine. Along this journey of mine, I have learned that everything is temporary. People, money, material, things, and life. Everything comes and goes. Love the love, man. The only thing that never changes is God. As God is internal, everything else simple evolve around, with you or without you. One of the biggest parts of that makes up who I am today is my understanding that human beings, by their nature, can give or do only as much as they are capable of. To be honest, everyone has limitation within. And so when you remove the expectation away from others and focus on God and have faith in his ability and his power, then you can become happy and content with your life. This frees the space to see that everything is working out for you and that you deserve every goodness life can give. As a young child, we look for guidance from our parents. In my case, my grandparents, both BBs, even though they were so different from each other. BBs in Swahili means grandma, but because I put BBs, so that's two of my grandmothers. They did their best for me in their own way. Bibi Saida, the one who's in Kenya, so that's Bibi Saida, was there for my younger age, and the lessons she gave me were to be independent, confident, to see how I could be beautiful both inside and out. The love she gave me was priceless, and I thank her for all her memories, happiness, experiences, the love she showed me in my direction. Now, this is my grandma for Zanzibar. Bibi Salma came into my life at the biggest, most important time of my life as a teenager, when I was getting ready for adulthood. My grandmother Bisalma, may she rest in peace, taught me to be aware of people, not to pay too much attention to what they said, but rather watch closely as to what they do, how they behave. My baby Salma was brought up in a different times than I was. She did what she knew was right according to her understanding, and as such, I can only forgive her for the harshness of her words as they were received, and the thing that she said, the things that she did that caused me heartache. I no longer take those things to heart. As in retrospect, I can see the benefit in my life now as an adult. All of us as human have pages we wish we could rewrite in some way. We make mistakes, but it is often through these mistakes that we learn and we change. We grow, and often it is in our deepest and most painful challenges that we actually see the best in ourselves. Through these things, I am able to teach, to empathize, to listen. Through these things, I am able to show others that great things are possible. that each and every one of us, despite our weaknesses, to shine and also to appreciate the good times too. For my parents, my Baba, that's father, may he rest in peace, and my mama, my mother, the Hajra, they had their own reasons for giving me away. With that, I appreciate and I'm thankful. In that, it started my journey and made me who I am today. I forgive them both, although, yes, I forgive them both for doing so. I forgive them both, although I neither know or can understand their reasons for doing so, as in my understanding I needed the love and guidance from them. I am glad to have them as my parents, and I will always love them and pray for them, and I will always look after my mother as long as she is alive until the day I die. And breathe. It is written in the book, okay? And I just wanted to make it for us to breathe as well. I am so happy and grateful to have everyone who came and are still coming into my life. I wish to ask for forgiveness from anyone who I have said or done something to that they may have found hurtful, offensive, or distressing. I have become a person with a thick skin, but truly I know I have always had the strength, but I have become a person with a thick skin, but truly I know I have always had the strength, but did not see my worth or my value until the day until the day I claimed who I am. My worth and my value and my life is important. I was born for a reason with a purpose. On a daily basis, people who take your energy away just bring sadness in your life. You don't need to have them in your life. Letting go of these people and put people around me who lift me up and energize me has helped me to choose my own reality. By doing this every day, I've become independent, able to be happy, and live my life to the fullest that I can. We are dangerous when we are not conscious of our responsibility for how we behave, think, and feel. Marshall B. Rosenberg. I have been born with fire in my belly, full of desires and dreams. I saw myself as different to everyone else, as I saw women and young people suffering or being treated cruelly. That was my only weakness, or is it my strength? This because it has made me who I am today. It helped me to empower people from a young age by seeing life differently from others. And when it comes to material things and richness, it meant I was not swayed by them. As for me, the most important thing to me is seeing people genuinely happy and giving love and care for myself to others. I always believe and know that everything starts with a simple thought. If you think about one thing and really focus on it, you will turn it into a reality. It does not matter where you are from or what you do. It matters how you are conditioned from the time you're born to where you are now. Remember to check if you are going through either one of all the steps. So it's all about limiting belief and procrastination and fear. Our imagination can expand and stretch. All you need is to have an open mind and decide what you want to do and focus on it to create a greater you. Most of my chapters, at the end of the chapter, there is a challenges and tasks for the reader. So this book is actually not just inspiring you, but also you can work on yourself. Instead of resisting any emotions, the best way to dispel it is to enter it fully, embrace it, see it through your resistance. Deepak Chopra. This book has explained some of these emotions we have and how we use them. When you look at the so this is there is a part that will explain more about human emotions and how you can help yourself through that. So the panic, the stretching, the comfort, and those are the things that we needed to have in our lives. Now, this book is about having a relationship with yourself, knowing what works for you and what you want to improve in yourself for the better. Looking after you is the first and most important step, is to know the real you. Your heart is where your power resides. Your heart is melted by love and kindness, and that is how you will manifest anything you ever want or desire. You are always with yourself, so you might as well enjoy the company. Diana von Furstenberg. I hope I said this is her name right. Life, she realized, so often become a determined, relentless avoidance of pain of one's own, of other people's. But sometimes pain had to be acknowledged and even touched so that one could move into it and through it and past it, or else be destroyed by it. Mary Balog. As human beings, we all want to be happy and free from misery. We have learned that the key to happiness is inner peace. The greatest obstacle to inner peace are disturbing emotions such as anger, attachment, fear, and suspicious, while love and compassion and a sense of universal responsibility are the source of peace and happiness. Dalai Lama. Peace, love, harmony with love. Barke Faraj. That's my book. Can get your copy, read it more. But this is a journey that I just want to say, oh my goodness, I'm in time. And I just wanted to say that I'm actually enjoyed it. I've been tears and happiness that brought with this book. But I am so happy and I'm so grateful to actually put it out there for every Muslim woman, for every woman who is going through challenges. They can actually go deeper and help themselves, because it's something that is worthwhile to know who you are and what you're capable of. You can become your own hero as well. Michelle, thank you for this amazing place. If anyone wants to ask question, please do ask. And I want to say thank you again, Michelle. I applaud you to give me this amazing opportunity to speak here today, because you know what, in life, you don't have to wait for opportunity. Sometimes you have to create by having your own book. So I wish you all the best, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for listening to me. And I wish you the most successful lifetime you can have. And thank you everybody. Take care. Bye everybody.